Hugh Freeze comes back and addresses the media. Is Auburn's energy ready to get the season started?
Weekend Tailgate Midweek Report brought to you by our friends at the Rage Room. If you're in the Opelika area, you can find them at 1510 2nd Ave. Or if you're in Birmingham, 2616 7th Ave South. The Rage Room, get all that rage out right now. If you're mad about practice, if you're mad about football season, if you're mad about life, the Rage Room has a unique opportunity for you to get out and bust some stuff up legally and safely. If you've never hit a windshield with a baseball bat, the Rage Room provides a unique opportunity for you to do just that. Let them know that the War Report sent you when you get there. Guys, do us a favor and become a patron. We are so close to football season, but your financial support helps keep the work that we're doing here going. Ike is going to be on the road. And we want him to have a safe trip to Waco, Texas. I don't know if he's ever been to Waco before, but certainly he has not been to Waco. So let's help Ike roll in style down to Waco, Texas by signing up as a patron. Again, $5.99 a month will get you there. Just hit that join button. You can also give the gift of the War Report. This is a great way to help us grow our community. If you're looking around the chat and you're wondering why everybody has a green name but you, it's because you have not become a member. You could open your email and find that somebody gifted you a membership. So check your email. We appreciate our community for helping us grow our community. Want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. Our guy Richard, longtime sponsor of the show. We appreciate them. Also want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. The Vibe Vault, not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. Get fresh for the weekend with the Vibe Vault. Also want to thank setsforsociety.ai. Do you want to get to know yourself a little better? Maybe learn how you can work better with a team or just be a better partner? Setsforsociety.ai has custom personality assessments to help you do just that. By breaking down aspects of your personality, they tell you how you think, how people around you think, and how you can work better together. Setsforsociety.ai. Get to know yourself. Visit them to get your custom personality assessment started today. Guys, check us out on podcast, every single podcast platform. We are there bringing you lots of great audio-only content. The Auburn Express Uptempo College Loop, Just a Sec, and the War Report Gaming channel. We dropped a ton of content today. I think like 4 or 5 pods. We've got pods to listen. You can listen while you're at work, picking the kids up from school. If you're at the gym, stay up to date on all your Auburn content on podcast. This helps us out a ton. Subscribe, turn on automatic downloads, and just let the audio flow into your eardrums. We appreciate you guys for doing that. And that's it. That's it for housekeeping. Let's start today's show.
Let's get to it. Auburn was back at the podium. Well, Coach Hugh Freeze was back at the podium talking about fall camp. Week 1 is in the books, getting prepared for week 2 of fall camp. And basically, he came out and called out his offense and said he didn't feel as if the energy was consistent from day to day, and they need to figure out how to get back to a place that they were a couple of days ago where he felt like the energy was good. And he admitted, maybe I just need to go back and watch it on film again, and, maybe it just didn't feel right in the moment, but as we go back and watch it, but he wants to be able to show guys, this is not the level of consistent energy that you need to have to get yourself prepared for the season. Mike, what were your thoughts about just what Coach Hugh Freeze said overall before we get into any specifics? But that was a part of his opening address.
It was a part of his opening address. He's been really honest about where the team is at whenever he gets in front of the podium. So when he says something, for the most part, I believe him because he just, if they look bad, he'll say, hey, man, we look bad today. They looked great. Hey, I was really happy with these things. He has consistently praised his wide receivers. I'm happy to hear some praise coming for the quarterback here. We got some clips we're going to play. But in past seasons, when he was talking about Peyton Thorne pressing and Robbie not getting this, and we're not hearing much of that coming out of the QB room these days. That makes me feel really, really good because Auburn is going to need Jackson Arnold to be at his best come August 29th when they hit the field in Waco.
Yeah, I mean Jackson Arnold is Jackson Arnold's the what do they call Cole Kubelik says this phrase all the time. He is the straw that stirs the drink. And it's a Cole Kubelik phrase. I'm not saying he came up with it, but he definitely says it. But I don't know why people use straws to stir drink. I guess people use straw to stir drink. I don't know. Anyway, but as Jackson Arnold goes, I think that's how this team is going to go, because I think the offensive line is good enough to give him time to do some things. And if they break down, he's got the ability to play off schedule. But listen, you said Coach Freeze has been very honest. I'm glad to hear that he's not just out here being like, oh, we had another great day of practice. Like, yeah, you know what? Today wasn't our best. We need to do better than this, because it feels to me, because he is so supremely confident in the talent that he has, he's not going to allow them to be mediocre. He's like, no, you guys have a chance to be great. This is not how greatness gets here. You can't just rest on the fact that you're talented. You've got to go out here and be great at practice as well if you want to be able to that place to be a great team come season start.
Yeah, the greatness is got to become synonymous with Auburn football again. And this you got great
ground is perfect for what we're talking about right now. Success is owned, and the lease is the rent is due every day. Like
every day. Yeah. You've got to come out and you've got to get the job done. You've got to focus in, and if you want to be one of the better teams in college football, you've got to be focused on what you need to do every single day. So, I'm looking at what Auburn has in terms of talent, and can he get that excellence out of them in crunch time? Is excellence going to shine in the fourth quarter? Is excellence going to shine on fourth and whatever when the game's on the line? That's what Auburn is. Auburn's going to find themselves, Ike, in 2 or 3 games this season where it's the fourth quarter and they have to push the ball down the field to score or hold a team, out of the end zone to win. And playmakers have to step up and make plays.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're in a position where they have a ton of guys who can do that.
Right.
So I don't know how you can't be excited about where this team is at right now, headed into August. They've talked about the talent levels. They've addressed the talent levels. I've said repeatedly, I have more questions about the coaching than I do about the players. And now you've got the quarterback you want with the receiver room everybody wants. Lots of praise for the running backs. He talked about Jeremiah Cobb coming out of the yellow non-contact jersey today. They expect a lot from a lot of guys on this team. Keldrick Falk went to media days. He should be one of the better pass rushers in this league this year. And if you have all those ingredients, preseason all SEC first team wide receiver, preseason all team first team edge rusher, an O-line that, according to some, all 6 can go to the NFL. This Auburn football is in a rare position preseason to really, really excel at a lot of things, and I'm excited to see it because, quite frankly, when you look at last season, we're not talking about a lot of improvement. It's a little bit of improvement that could lead
a little bit in a lot of different places. Yeah. And that's, I think that's the thing that people are forgetting. It's not now where Auburn was bad last year, specifically early, was in the turnover situation. But outside of that, it was just like, okay, can you make a play here? Can you make a play here? Can you make a kick here? Can you avoid the penalty here? It's a lot of little things, but all very correctable things, right? Like, and that's the thing that you have to be encouraged by, that you have a lot of small things, but they're very correctable. Let's go to some comments here. He had Coach Hugh Freeze talking about some of this stuff that we've been mentioning, commenting on the defense and how the defense has been playing well, but the offense kind of needs to pick it up a little bit. We'll hear comments from Coach Hugh Freeze here.
It's been some of those critical downs, like those 3rd and 1s, 3rd and 2s, and we've got to be excellent in those on offense and defense. Today, defense was really dang good in those. I think we had 8 reps of it, and we were probably 2 of 8, which is not going to be enough to win games. So we've got to go back and look at that. Obviously, we don't have everything in right now, but still, you've got to execute those and get those first downs. But also, it's really nice to see the defense not give those up. So it's thought the Skelly period was an offensive period that went really, really well. I thought our quarterbacks were sharp and receivers were sharp, and we completed a lot of balls, but we should. I mean, that's an offensive drill, and that's what you should do. That should be the expectation. So, again, we had, and I thought, one of our best days in a long, long time 2 days ago. Today, up and down, but still some good things.
You talk about.
So Coach Hugh Freeze there talking about how a thing that a lot of people have talked about during the offseason, how poorly the defense played on 3rd down. He's like, now the defense is actually doing those things really well right now. And that's why it's difficult, right? Because it's spring camp. It's your defense going against your offense. So it's like, you feel good that the defense did these things, but they stopped your offense from doing it. So it's like, how much joy do you really get out of satisfaction out of that? And I think that, honestly, I don't know, as much as I think he wants the defense to do well, Coach Hugh Freeze is not going to be happy when he feels like his offense is struggling.
Yeah, if you're an offensive guy, right, you want to see the thing that you do be good. And they have not been good. We can't sugarcoat that.
Right.
They've not been good in critical moments. Now, if you watch the Auburn Express this morning, I highlighted Auburn they moved the ball. If you look at total yards gained from scrimmage, I mean, they were in the top, 4 or 5 in the conference in terms of total yards. You wouldn't think so when looking at the scoreboard. They just struggled to punch the ball in the end zone when it was time. So big plays were there. Peyton Thorne was slinging it around at times.
Yeah. And
he would have been a 3,000-yard passer if he didn't get benched for that whole game and a half, essentially.
Right.
So, they've got the ingredients, but the mixture, the thing that came out of it was not what you would expect when you look at the numbers.
Right.
By the numbers, Auburn was a pretty good football team last year, and 5-7 for who they had and what they produced was pretty anomalous. You had to be you're really, really bad in specific areas to lose the way they did. If somebody posted, it was funny. I posted my boss toss and loss on Twitter, and somebody came through and said Vanderbilt is a toss because, Diego Pavia. Stop with the Pavia crap. He did not play well in that game. He played awful in that game. If you want to talk about the Pavia slaying, he's the DeBoer slayer for sure. Because he mixed them up and dropped 40 on Alabama. They didn't do crap. He didn't do crap at Auburn. 17 points, 9 of 22 passing. If I told you that Vanderbilt was going to score 17 points and he was going to be 9 of 22 passing before the game, you would have told me Auburn won that game.
Yeah.
So I don't think he gets lucky this year. I don't think he gets a 7-point Auburn team this year. I think he gets 40-point Auburn. But they couldn't even manage 21 points on our defense. I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at a team that has the right ingredients to make the type of cake that will take Hugh Freeze off the hot seat headed into year 4. Now, they've got to do their part as a coaching staff. They've got to dial up the right plays at the right time, especially offensively. But when you have the dogs that they have, you got more leeway to kind of figure that out in game and make adjustments. And, it was such a tightrope walk last year. And I think that this year it's not going to be as much of a tightrope.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a thing that Coach Hugh Freeze, I think, repeated last year. He was like, our margin for error is so it's razor thin. Like, we can't, like, you and he felt like he was living and dying with every single call. It's like, I don't have the opportunity to take a chance here, because if I take this shot right here in this spot and it doesn't work out, now I feel like, oh man, maybe I should have played it safer, right? And that's not a space that he wants to live in as a play caller. He wants to live in a space where he feels like, man, we got some dudes. Let's go out here and make it happen.
Yeah.
And we'll figure it out on the other side of it, because we have enough guys that can just go make plays. I think he's in that position right now, but now it's time to kind of fine tune their prepared level and not just say, hey, we're just going to go out there and ball. Like, yes, we're going to go out there and ball, but we need to be ready, because there are going to be teams that we come up against that you're not just going to be able to go out and ball against, because they got dudes on the other side of the line of scrimmage as well.
Yeah. Listen, everybody's got dudes. It's the SEC. So if you don't bring your A game any given Saturday, you can get beat.
Right.
And we saw that at times across the league last year, not just with Auburn, where teams came lackadaisical into a game and they got beat. I just don't see this happening the way it's happened the first 2 years for a third year in a row. These are unprecedented levels of talent that they brought in. Cam Coleman, I'm so excited to watch this kid play. I'll tell you what, it sounds like Perry Thompson is starting to separate himself.
I was going to say, I was wondering how long you were going to take to get, you've been on the Perry Thompson train, and he was very specific about how he felt like Perry Thompson has made a good leap this year in his ability to be where he's supposed to be on any given play. And that bodes very well for this wide receiver room if an athletic freak like Perry Thompson is getting it right above the shoulders.
I tried to, I had people coming at me about Perry. We had a comment on the show. There were a couple people on social media saying, oh, you've been pumping Perry Thompson, but it looks like he's behind Horatio. And we tried to tell folks, look, I don't think that the order that they go out has anything to do with who's leading what necessarily. It could just mean that they need to evaluate some guys more than they need to evaluate others.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why we didn't see Jackson Arnold on A-Day. They're not really trying to evaluate a whole lot of things with him. They just needed him healthy, and he was borderline, so there was no reason to put him out there.
Yeah. And I
Thompson,
think that was always going to be the thing for Perry. It's not as if he's not physically, he was ready the minute he stepped off of the where I was going to say off of the bus. He didn't take a bus to Auburn, but the minute he pulled up to Auburn University in whatever vehicle dropped him off that summer, he was physically ready to go play football. It was going to be about whether or not he had the playbook down and whether or not he understood things like he was. Actually, let's hear Coach Hugh Freeze talk about his receiver room, and we'll continue in this conversation.
Yep.
But it's truth. I've been at 4 different universities, and at all 4 we've been able to have 10 win seasons or more at every one of them. Well, when I look at those, we had receivers that could win one-on-ones and operate in our system, and a quarterback that could get it to them. And that, if you look back at those seasons, that was a huge part of it. And so I knew when I got here that was a priority is revamping that room and recruiting it. And Marcus and Maurice and Heath, those receiver coaches, along with the rest of the recruiting staff, did a really nice job in year 1, obviously. And then in year 2, I think Sam was a heck of a pickup out of high school, and the portal, obviously Eric and Horatio, to add to that room. And so it is definitely a totally different room than it was when we.
So talking about revamping the wide receiver room, the question was asked kind of like evaluating when he got to Auburn versus what that wide receiver room looks like now. And he was saying, listen, I'm used to having guys that can go make plays. In every other place that I've been a coach, I've had playmakers in the receiver room. He just didn't feel like he had those guys in the room prior to now. Now, last year, again, he had guys in the room that could be playmakers. So we're not excusing the results last year in terms of that. But you'd be crazy to not sit and look at the wide receiver room right now and look at what it was like when he first got here and say, yeah, it's a much better room, right? It's just, it is. You've got guys that, what you said over and over again, these guys are pretty much can't miss NFL prospects. If you don't have 2, 3, 4 NFL draftees out of that Freeze 4, plus what you got with Keandre Lambert-Smith and now Eric Singleton, like 4 or 5 of those guys should be going to the NFL. Like you can't screw that up.
Well, he came in and in his introductory press conference, he talked about having pass catchers with catch radius. And they focused on that. That was a focus. Now, they got a little lucky with Cam Coleman and the whole Jimbo Fisher firing debacle, which freed him up, got him to the Plains, because had Jimbo Fisher stayed there, I firmly believe with not only Jimbo Fisher, but Damian Craig was the key to Cam's recruitment. He wouldn't have been an Auburn Tiger, not last year. However, he is an Auburn Tiger. And you added a top 30 overall receiver in Perry Thompson. And when I say top 30, I mean top 30 overall player, but at receiver in Perry Thompson to the mix. And you went out and you got Keandre Lambert-Smith, who is balling right now. I don't know if you've seen the camp highlights of Keandre just killing it, but he seems to be every bit of an NFL prototype, receiver. And then you went out and you got and Eric Singleton, who's already getting NFL draft hype. This could be, man, and in the next couple of years could be pretty prolific for Auburn in terms of draft, and if the NFL draft,
right?
It's remarkable. So when I'm looking at what they've got, I just am thinking, hey, you went out and you said that this was important, and he did exactly what he said he was going to do. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna get dynamic pass catchers. That's what he did at Ole Miss, and he's doing it even better at Auburn, if you ask me. This is fairly remarkable.
I mean, listen, he's got Auburn's a different recruiting ground. Like it's listen, Ole Miss fans, be mad all you want to about what I'm about to say. I'm going to repeat a thing I've said over and over again. You're broke and you're ugly. And that's why it's so difficult for you to recruit there. And you've gotten prettier over the years. You fixed your teeth. You got a boob job, all that kind of stuff. I get all that, right? You're still ugly. At your core, you're ugly, right? And so that's why it was so difficult for what Ole Miss. It was so remarkable what he was able to do at Ole Miss with his recruiting. It's going to be a little easier to do that at Auburn because Auburn's just it's a better school. Right. And so it's got more tradition. They've got more winning over the years. It's got more pedigree. Say all the things you want to nice about Auburn. It is what it is in comparison to Ole Miss. So you should see better results. And you're seeing that play out in the way that the recruiting classes are shaping up.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, first of all, Ole Miss stinks. The town physically stinks. It's terrible. It's an awful place to live. It's even worse to work. I can't say enough bad things about Oxford. Auburn is amazing. Everyone who comes here, they have nothing but amazing things to say about do you remember a few years ago? Well, I'm saying a few years ago, but it was a while ago when Auburn played Clemson, and the Clemson student newspaper wrote a whole article about how great it was as a fan visiting Auburn. When players feel that when they come on recruiting trips, they're just like, man, this is a great town. The hospitality, the Bammers like to make fun of Auburn people talking about the family feel, but that's really what it is. We went to school there.
I'm not gonna let the Bama jokes fly today. I'm not gonna do it. Anyway, continue. My bad.
So it is actually a fantastic place. And what you find is coaches, after they stop coaching, they want to settle in Auburn. They want to keep a place in Auburn. It was one of the hardest things in terms of transferring. I remember when Jay Fair was getting ready to transfer, part of the difficulty for him was just leaving Auburn.
Yeah,
it grew on him. He just loved it here. And it was hard. He had to make it the best football decision he could make for himself, but he didn't want to leave. He didn't want to leave his community. So, Hugh Freeze packages all that up, and you on the recruiting trail, it's a lot easier to sell than whatever they're doing other places, because you've got a great town with great people, a lot of hospitality, a rich football tradition where it matters, in a place where you can win championships. Not to mention a $90 million football-only facility. The facility, now that they got the facilities, I can't tell you. Woo! Man, I remember the pro day where Cam came to throw to his brother. The NFL scouts were remarking on the facilities being top-notch. The scouts were like, this is college. And I don't know if you've ever been into an NFL like training facility. I've been in a few in my day. I've been to the Falcons compound out in Flowery Branch. When King was playing with the Chargers, I went out to their facility. It was cool. I was actually in the locker room when what was the Wisconsin running back a few years ago that Chargers drafted? He was
Wisconsin
a monster
running back.
Oh, yeah. Oh, help me out, chat. It was Wisconsin running back around 2017. I think we played them. And he ran for like 300.
Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon. Yeah. Melvin Gordon was meeting Phillip Rivers for the first time while I was just happened to be in the locker room with King. And, those facilities are crazy. Auburn has something that rivals what pro teams have. So you put all that whole mixture, you put it together, and it equals a chance to create something special. And that's what they have this year, an opportunity to create something special. This could be a very, very special season for Auburn, and a lot of people are sleeping on them, and that's exactly where they want to be. They're going to be asleep until about week 5.
Yeah, listen, Auburn's got an opportunity to wake some people up week 1, though.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, they're gonna keep sleeping on them till about week 5. Let them go into Norman and get the win. And then when they have to go to Texas A&M, everybody's going to be awake, thinking, hold on now, they might be cooking with some grease here if they get out of there with a win too. Can you imagine starting your SEC slate with 2 straight wins on the road? Did Georgia come to town? Man, there's going to be a lot of
Georgia game at night in Jordan-Hare Stadium. If Auburn is undefeated somehow in that, good Lord, that atmosphere is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah. So I think it's okay if you're a fan, because I see the pessimism in the comments. I see them on social media. I see them in every space where there are discussions happening about Auburn football, because people have gotten their hopes up and they've been let down season after season. If that's you, I get it. But when Ike released his boss toss loss, there was a ton of bug, nothing in the loss column. And I think it's okay to let yourself feel some excitement about what they've built. Hugh Freeze said that he doesn't feel pressure, but he understands there are expectations. And he thinks that's okay because you've given people something to expect. Come on, man. They've definitely given people something to expect with the recruiting that they've done. And, Cam Coleman is a freshman being a 600-yard receiver with 8 TDs last year. He should be double-digit TDs this year.
Easily.
If
Cam Coleman doesn't have 10 touchdowns this season, then you're doing something wrong, bro. He should score 2 touchdowns per game in those 2 crap games in the games 2 and 3. Like, just put 2 on the board for him in that game, and then so if he scores 2 in each of those games, that's at 4 already. He can get 6 throughout the remainder of 10 games. Yes, he should.
Yeah, I'm asking ChatGPT real quick. Like, what's the record for the most TDs in the season by an Auburn receiver?
I probably could have looked that up.
Yeah, Terry Beasley, 12 touchdowns, 1971. Could that be right?
Cam Coleman has an opportunity to go break that record this year. I think he has a shot to be that kind of guy.
Darvin Adams had 10 touchdown grabs in 2009. And then Cam Coleman and Keandre Lambert-Smith 8. I mean, he's only 4 TDs off the Auburn record, if this is correct. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gonna hold you. Sometimes ChatGPT does some
a little inaccurate sometimes, but yeah.
So. Yeah, right. But
being clear, that's according to ChatGPT, and if anybody wants to look it up and verify that, they can.
Yeah, but 12 TDs, man, this could be a 13 to 15 TD season for Cam Coleman. And if Auburn is going to win the requisite amount of games for Hugh Freeze to hit that over, I think he's going to have to be. I don't see a route to Auburn having success on offense without Cam Coleman being a star. I don't see it. Yeah, and if it's not him, everybody else is eating because
I was going to say the only way from a statistical standpoint that doesn't happen is if it's an even distribution all the way around. Like, you've just got 8 here, 8 there, 6 here, right? Like, you've got a bunch of guys doing a bunch of stuff and it equates. But he should get a lot of focus from defenses. But even with that focus, because here's the thing: when you're a talented receiver, you somehow find a way to make plays regardless of what the defense is doing. I think Cam Coleman has that ability.
Yeah, I do too. The other thing I'm asking here is, what is what we know? Chris Todd held the record for most TDs by an Auburn QB in a single season, but I'm not sure anybody beat that though. I'm trying to think who after, because I know that I don't think Cam beat it. Passing. Well, I don't know. It's Cam 30 passing TDs in 2010. Could Jackson Arnold beat that mark? Because and let's be clear, 30 is a good season, but by Heisman standards, that's pretty mid in terms of TD passes. Now, he did a lot on the ground. Obviously, he led the SEC in rushing that year. But I'd be interested to see, like I said, if these guys are going to break all these records like you just described, at 8 here, 8 there, 7 here, 7 there, Jackson Arnold is going to break some kind of record for most touchdowns thrown by an Auburn QB. There's no route to one without the other. So, if Cam Coleman's going to catch a lot of touchdowns, it means Jackson Arnold's going to throw a lot of touchdown passes.
Right.
And I've got a lot of faith in Jackson Arnold. I don't know where you're at on QB, Ike, but I actually have a lot of faith in Jackson Arnold.
I feel good about what Jackson Arnold's potential is, for sure. I feel good about it. Well, let's get to the break because I want to continue the Jackson Arnold conversation. I do have a clip from him talking Jackson Arnold a little bit and his pleasure with him. And how he's pleased with how Jackson Arnold has progressed so far during the fall camp. But you all are watching the Midweek Report. Make sure you're liking this video, subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Share the content with somebody. We'll take a quick break. We'll get back to your comments, and then we'll continue with clips from today's press conference.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com.
The Rage Room. The Rage Room is a place where anger and stress find their ultimate release. Set up a session today at one of the 2 great locations in Opelika or Birmingham by visiting opelika.rageroom.com or birminghamrageroom.com.
Guys, join as a member. Join the greatest Auburn community that's ever existed anywhere. by signing up as a patron. $5.99 a month will get you there. Your financial support helps keep us viable. As Ike mentioned, he'll be in Waco for game 1, reporting live for you all. I'll be in the comfort of my living room, but joining Ike virtually, bringing you guys lots of great Auburn coverage there week 1. Support us by joining as a member. Hit that join button. Also, you can give the gift of the war report by smashing that gifted membership button. Let's see if we can get 20 given away over the last half of the show. We got to grow this community, guys, and you guys can help one member at a time. We appreciate you for doing that. I want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code RAPPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, game time anxiety, all that stuff. The Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. We appreciate them for sponsoring the segment. I want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. Not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. Get fresh for the weekend with the Vibe Vault. And our friends at setsforsociety.ai. Get to know yourself with Sets for Society. If you want to be a better teammate, a better partner, a better coworker, Sets for Society has custom personality assessments that can help you down the path of getting to know yourself and how you think and how others around you think, so that you can maximize your potential in society. Setsforsociety.ai. Visit them today to get your custom personality assessment started. I've been failing to mention this on these ad reads. Absolutely free to get your personality assessment started. So I'm going to ask everybody, if you're listening to this, I mean, we've got over 200 people live right now. Do this tonight. Do this tonight and come back and share with us on social media what your assessment says about you. Mine was dead on. I think yours was dead on when you took it as well too, yeah. Man. It was a great reflection of self, and this is one of the more interesting things you can ever do. So we appreciate you guys for doing that. Check us out on podcast. Download us in audio only format, the Auburn Express, Uptempo, College Loop, and Just a Sec. Now we talk a lot about the Auburn Express, but I want to give a shout out to my guy Dustin, who is doing work over at the Uptempo. One of our sister podcasts. He's doing great work. Please go support him. We ask you guys to do a lot of things, but most of all, just listen. That's it. That's all we ask of you guys. If you can't do anything else, if you can't buy something from a sponsor, you can't join as a member, you can just listen. So we appreciate you guys for doing that. Before we jump back into the conversation, I did want to say, there was a comment recently on a show where they talked about the ads and, there's a lot of ads and there's all this stuff. I want to reframe the relationship our listeners have to ads. If you enjoy free content, which is what is on YouTube, it's just primarily free content, unless it's behind our paywall, the least you can do is watch an ad to support the content that you're getting daily for free. And so just whenever you see that ad pop up, I would challenge everybody to think, you know what, if I can't give these guys anything physically, that is a way actually to give us, is just by watching that, letting that ad roll while you get your coffee or do anything else. So please don't knock the ads. That's how we're able to do this.
Like I said, let me jump in here with you on that and say it a little less nicely, because I don't care if people don't like me. Like, this is how we pay the bills for this channel, is getting people to sponsor spots. So if we have a lot of those ads, then that means there are a lot of people who are willing to sponsor, even if just a small amount, to help keep this content happening. Now, the other portion of it is, if you know somebody who want to give us a whole bunch of money, then we can do less ads.
One big sponsor.
That's how it goes. Like, I don't know another way to say it. Either you want us to continue to do content so that we can pay bills on the channel and do things we need to do, or you could just stop complaining about we have ads. Yes, we have to make money to do this.
Yeah, it's funny. At media days every year, Greg Sankey sits down with us and he says, your set grows every year. Yeah. And another media member said, man, this looks like a lot of stuff that could potentially go wrong, because we got wires and cameras and lights everywhere. And that's not the way I see it. I see it as this has the potential for us to produce something amazing, that we only get a shot to do that content one time a year, to sit down with we bring you voices from all over the SEC during media days, and we produce that at a high level. That takes money. So we've been very blessed to have people invest in us in that way year over year. I hope that it continues. But I didn't want to. I saw that message the other day, and I thought, I wanted to take some time to just say, hey, look, if you like where the content is going, everything down. Remember when we started the channel, everybody had different microphones. Everybody had like these cheap USB,
whatever we could get.
Yeah, right. And it was one of the first things we invested in, because one of the main complaints was audio. The audio, like Mike's mic was lower, Ike's was too loud. And so we all got the same microphones, and it was a significant investment to get the MV7s. But that was made possible by the grace and generosity of our listeners. And so many of you have just reached out asking how you can support financially. But I'm telling you, if you want to support us, just listen and let the ads roll. That's the best way to do it. And it's the most consistent way to do it that really doesn't cost you anything. So I appreciate those of you who do that.
Yeah. And again, for those of you who go above and beyond and you do things like pay monthly memberships, plus you do things like Stephen Neely gifting memberships, or keeping Kalen in here gifting memberships, or let me see, Deets 10 memberships gifted here, Kazan a membership gifted here. When you do stuff like that, that means the world to us too, because it allows other people to experience the stuff that's behind the paywall that maybe they will enjoy and say, oh, it's only $4, $5 a month. I can go and support them and keep this kind of stuff going, man. So listen, I don't, again, I know we're derailing our conversation from what you guys came in here to listen to. And if you're watching this on replay, feel free to skip ahead. Like, okay, you don't want to hear us talk about why we do what we do and how much we appreciate the people who help us do that. But it is what it is, man. Like, I have the ability to sit here and talk like this because you guys are amazing in your generosity. So I thank y'all so much.
Yes, I appreciate it as well too. It's been a blessing to be able to go down this road. Ike, when we started the channel, when you had the idea, and I ran into you at a random house party in Birmingham back in 2019. This is the most random thing ever. I think it was Dewana's house, and you say, hey, I got this idea, and I went back to DC, and you hit me up and you said, hey, do you still want to do this? And I said, yeah. And we had no clue literally what we were how it was going to look, but we both have a background in business, and it ended up exploding a year later, and then here we are driving conversations about Auburn football, driving narratives. We're in the room with the big dogs, and as far as I'm concerned, we are the big dogs now. So this has been a fun ride, and I don't want it to stop, man. I want it to continue. We've got a lot of things that we want to do. You like the firesides. I can tell you, I know you guys have asked for that content. The amount of resources it takes to pull off one fireside is remarkable. Let me tell you, that's not easy content to do, to organize the schedules of 3 or 4 players, make it okay with their coaches, get the NIL contracts drawn up and legal, get the chefs out there to cater it. I mean, it is a lot of work. And we did like 7 position groups one summer. Crazy. And that's all made possible by you guys. So we could not do this for a living if it weren't for the amazing fan. I'm telling you, I'm out here doing UCF content, guys, and it's bringing them the same kind of coverage and passion. You can tell they've been missing it. They don't have it. They haven't had it. And so they have an amazing young fan base. I think the average UCF alum is like 32. So
they got a huge fan base. Like that's a big school.
Yeah, they're a really, really young fan base. And if you so we're focusing on giving people more. I think our interviews are the best out there. The sit down. If you guys haven't seen the sit down that Ike did with Larry Vickers, come on, man. Nobody else is bringing you that content. Nobody.
We're doing outside of War Eagle Plus. That's it.
Yeah. You're not getting that from anyone.
And let's be clear, you pay a lot more money to see that on War Eagle Plus than you do at the War Report.
Fact. Johnny Harris before him, the coverage we've given other sports. I sat down with the volleyball coach, Brent Crouch. one-on-ones with Bruce Pearl every year. I've got that coming up. Hugh Freeze. If you missed our 1 hour exclusive with Hugh Freeze, it was the best interview he's done since he's been at Auburn. I feel good about saying that. People came after and they said, you know what? That interview was tough but respectful. You didn't let them off the hook, but you also weren't disrespectful. And I can't. I love the work that we do. I'll stand behind it, man. I think that we put our heart and our soul into this, and I know I got on my soapbox a little bit, but it's been 5 years now since we started the War Report, technically, and to go from what it was to what it is now is only made possible by the passion of the Auburn fan base. We couldn't do it without you guys, man. But we're not done yet. This is we're not even close to done yet. So I'm off it. I'm off the pulpit. I wanted to say that I wanted to talk to the listeners for a second tonight on that. I think it's great work that we're doing here, and I want to bring you guys even more.
We're going to get to it, and let's get in here and talk to some of these people who are gifting memberships and such, because Dustin Pace gave another 5 away. Appreciate that very much.
For 20. I got way more than that.
We got another 5 here from Brad Browning that were gifted. So thank you guys so much for your generosity. Again, we're getting into our season form right now, so this is not our final form. We got a lot left to do. Super chats flying in as well. A Deets jumps in and says, all right, Mike flipped his camera so we can read his screen and he's not blurry.
For those of you who don't know, when I moved back here, my parents I was sick, so I was staying with my folks while I was trying to get back on my feet. They live in a very rural area. Now it's me and my girlfriend, and we're even more rural somehow. So somebody left a comment and said, I got that potato internet. I couldn't help but laugh. But yes, I did. And I got some feedback about flipping the screen the right way as well, too. So I see you guys. I see it. I hear you
guys. Let's see here. NH3425 says, no excuse to not be 10-1 last year, lost to Georgia. I wouldn't say no excuse, but I do think that was a possible outcome based upon the talent that was on that team last year, and really the way those games played out. You can see yourself to Auburn winning all of those games except for the Georgia game, because that was the only one that the final score did not feel competitive. But Auburn had enough to be able to win more games last year, and this has got to be the year that we don't. I mean, we can sit back and say they lost more games than they should have, but we shouldn't be talking about a team that is winning 5 or 6 games because they let 2 or 3 of them slip through their fingers.
Yeah. 10-1, like I would say 9-3. Right? I think 9-3 was pretty realistic based on the outcome of the games. And you guys have heard us say this before. Nobody ran away from Auburn on the scoreboard. It just didn't happen. The one team that did kind of run it up, they still lost, and that was Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Georgia, I think, was the next highest scoring team at 31 points. Alabama got 28 points. These aren't super high point totals that they were giving up. So if you flip that script just a little bit, defense gets just a little bit better. They gave up an average of 21 points per game last year, Ike. I think we see that come down to like 17 or 18. And, if Auburn can, I mean, you're talking about like a 10 to 17 point swing there on the scoreboard, where it should look pretty good, man, if the defense holds serve. I've got Auburn holding Baylor to 21 or under in game 1.
You hear that, Y2K? Let's see here. Super chat again from NH3425. The record is 4 touchdown catches by an Auburn wide receiver in a single game, held by Ace Wright in 1987 at Auburn. Coleman can break this record easily. 4 touchdown catches in a game. I don't know about easily. It's not easy to get 4 touchdown catches in a game, but if he plays enough in one of those games where they're playing a scrub, then it's definitely possible. I just think there's enough weapons that it doesn't have to be the case.
Do you remember the LSU versus Oklahoma playoff game in 2019? Justin Jefferson went nuts.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite shots was when he caught his 4th touchdown pass. Just couldn't right to the camera. Pretty iconic. I would love to see Cam have a moment like that this year.
Yeah. Wardank Eagle super chat just to say beat Baylor. Stephen Neely follows suit with another super chat, beat Baylor. Ben Bloodworth comes in, says, proud of you guys, so ready for some football. We are ready.
Ben has been riding with us for a long time. He one of our longest running listeners. Ben always has insightful comments, and he's been supporting us for a while. Ben, we appreciate that. For sure. JJ Brand says, here for the great content and Mike G's gun show. Look, man, ain't no gun show going on these last few months, brother. I got to get back in the gym. Colton jumps in. Appreciate Colton. I feel like I hadn't seen Colton in the chat in a while, but he says just wanted to say a quick thank you to the Auburn family for your thoughts and prayers. Last fall, my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 esophageal cancer, and I'm excited to share that he's in remission. Thank you, Auburn family. Well, good reason that we, well, not good reason, but that is probably part of the reason why Colton hasn't been around. But that is great news. So definitely glad to hear that about your dad, and glad to see you back in the chat, man. Appreciate it. Oh man, it feels like every other week I'm hearing somebody I know has gotten cancer.
Cancer is out there doing awful things.
Oh man, Peyton Thorne's dad got diagnosed with stage 3 stomach cancer, and they went in to operate and said he was inoperable. It spread to a point where he was inoperable. So keep the Thorne family in your prayers. Peyton reached out pretty passionately, asking people if you know of any treatments, anything. If you don't follow him on Instagram, follow him on Instagram. And if you guys know of any doctors or facilities or anything that could help his dad. I've met Jeff Thorne personally. We talk actually quite a bit, and I mean, it was heartbreaking to hear that his cancer had become potentially terminal. But I know what he was going through. He's been going through a lot, and he wants Peyton to focus on football. But I'm telling you, Peyton has been the best son he could ask for, and he's out here fighting every day for his dad. So I'm happy to hear that your dad is beating it, because it's just not everybody is so fortunate. Absolutely. More memberships from Kalen. Keep Kalen in Tuscaloosa. He did it twice. He said he did. It said it didn't go through the first time, so he did it again. But hey, listen, I guess it caught both of them, so we'll take them. Connor Hall said Cam had 3 against A&M. Got to get him the record this season. He did have 3 touchdowns versus A&M. Wesley Hilson, Baylor doesn't stand a chance. Love it. Marcus Holland says, I got 3 words for college football: length and girth. Yes. Girth. Yeah. Hashtag Hugh Freeze. All right, let's get back into the conversation here. We were talking about quarterback, and Coach Hugh Freeze had some confidence. Mike G expressing confidence in the quarterbacks. Let's hear what Coach Freeze had to say about his thoughts on the quarterback room.
True, but I get to go in the rooms and only talk about the bad stuff, and that's just and I know they get it, but man, I get paid to try to fix the stuff we're not doing well, so that's usually the only time I have from go to room and say we have to get this fixed, and there's not a lot that he's a little greedy in the RPO game a bit. But I think we can get that corrected pretty simply, and I don't think he did that today. After yesterday's meeting, I don't remember a single one that he tried to force and make something happen. So I'm really pleased with his decision making. I think the ball is coming out quick, and I think he's using his legs when he doesn't feel comfortable with what he sees, and creating, again, everything's not team periods, but he's creating explosive plays when he does move out of the pocket. He's throwing really well on the run. So to this point, I'm really pleased with where he's at.
Coach Hugh Freeze pleased with where he sees his quarterback right now, saying, you know, he had been a little greedy possibly at points and times in the RPO game, but he didn't feel like he was doing that today. What I will say in terms of that is there was a lot of talk about two things. There were two narratives that were pretty prevalent. Well, actually, there were three, but I'll talk about the two that have to do with his passing, because I don't think the turnover narrative has anything to do with passing for him. But there were two narratives that have been around about Jackson Arnold. One from the Oklahoma fan base, which was the reason why he didn't throw a lot of interceptions is because he held on to the ball too long. He was too risk averse. He didn't trust what he saw. And so he ends up taking sacks or trying to, you know, he's a one read quarterback and all that sort of thing. And then the other one is the subsequent time since he's been at Auburn, because Coach Hugh Freeze says that he was, you know, trying to let him get acclimated. And, you know, the narrative had been that he's taking it easy on Jackson to get his confidence up. Jackson Arnold being greedy in the RPO game says to me he's got a tremendous level of confidence right now. He's like, man, I can make that throw. That guy can make that catch. We're going to go out here and see what happens. Now, great. You got to reel it back in a little bit, but I actually love hearing that. I love hearing that.
Yeah, I mean, it is a far cry from he was pressing, so we just decided to make him the starter.
Yes.
Yes, we are light years from that. And this is good news. This is good news if you're an Auburn fan. Coach Hugh Freeze is saying he's seeing the field. The ball's coming out quick. It's coming out on time. If he's accurate, I can't imagine a world where this offense isn't running up numbers. And what nobody is talking about enough is that if this passing game fulfills its potential, Damari Alston and Jeremiah Cobb are going to eat as well too. They may not get a ton of carries, but they're so worried about Cam Coleman and Malcolm Simmons and Eric Singleton, when they hand the ball off to these guys, they're going to be ripping off huge chunks of yards. I could see it. I mean, I'm telling you, don't be surprised if this running if between Damari Alston and Jeremiah Cobb, these guys average 6.2 yards per carry. Combined. Remember, I said this, 6.2 yards per carry combined by those two guys. Every two times they touch it, first down. So, you know, a lot of coaches, they tell you when you ask them about the run game, they say they're more concerned with that yard per carry average than they are about the total. Like, are we effective when we run the ball? I think it was was it SEC Unfiltered? No. I think it was that SEC podcast. They put up like the logo of every team, and then they asked people on Twitter, like, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you see this logo? And it was Missouri's logo. And the first thing I thought of was the 304 yards that Trey Mason ran on them in that SEC championship. It felt like every time he touched the ball, it was an instant 5 yards minimum.
Yeah.
People forget, man, he made New York for the Heisman ceremony. That kid ran for 1,800 yards that season in a non-playoff era season. So I think we see something close to that this year. Maybe not 1,800 yards by a single back, but in terms of efficiency when they touch the ball. Third and 3, you hand the ball to Trey Mason. There was no doubt in my mind. I could not remember a time that season where he got stopped in 3rd and short when Auburn needed a first down. These guys have a chance to be that efficient when Auburn needs it this year, because the passing game is going to help open things up. It's going to spread teams out. You're not going to be able to play Auburn tight. Really, all you're going to be able to do, hopefully, is tee off and hope you can get to Jackson Arnold before he can find somebody. Bum rush him and hope you rattle him. But if he's seeing the field with these receivers, oh, man, I hope they have some quick the part where he said the ball is coming out quick. That's the thing that excites me. Because I do think that teams are going to pin their ears back and they're going to go after him. And if he's quick, that quick release, and he gets that ball out and he dumps it off Simmons, just get it there and make it accurate and let these receivers catch the ball and do all the work after the catch.
Yeah.
It should be fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what he's able to do because, again, like you said, he has the talent to be able to do those things necessary. And then the other thing that I like that he said was about him being able to utilize his legs, because I think that's an underrated portion of what people have not seen. Or, I mean, listen, I don't know how many yards he ran for in that Bama game, but it's clear he can run, right? But that's a thing, you've talked about this a few times about how it was difficult for coaches to evaluate Cam Newton when he was in fall, because it's like, okay, he ran on that play. Would that play have gone for 5 yards or is that a touchdown? I don't know because it's not contact. I think that's another portion that adds an element to what is dangerous about Jackson Arnold is that it's like, he can run, but like at the same time, you almost forget about it because it's like, oh, okay. And then he takes off running and he's 30 yards up the field before you realize it. And so that element is not something that we're going to see during fall camp be able to be on display. But we will see that during the games. But I like the fact that he said he throws accurately on the run. And that's one of the things I actually noted when I did his film review is how well he actually throws when he's on the move. His ability to extend plays, I think, is going to be a big boon for Auburn's offense this season.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
All right, we got a couple more clips in here I want to discuss. Let's see. What was the other one here? Boom, boom, boom. Oh, I definitely wanted to park here for just a moment because we have not had the NIL conversation in a minute. But we are past the August 1st thing, right? And so team players are getting their official things from whoever offered them deals, and they're figuring that out. And Auburn is now in the place where it still feels like it's up in the air because there's a lot of uncertainty. Because for 1 minute, it's like, okay, the clearinghouse was like, okay, these things are good, and we're going to pivot what we said initially. And then executive order comes out from the president, and he's like, no, none of this stuff is going to work. And you're just like, yo, can y'all please somebody decide what they're doing? And Coach Hugh Freeze was, as he has always been, very transparent about, listen, I don't know how you're being honest to high school players right now. Like, I just don't know. Let's hear his comments on this, and we'll talk about this before we get out of here.
Congress, and I still am not clear as to what you really can do outside the revenue sharing portion. I know very clearly where we stand with that, and I know very clearly that John and his staff have done a great job of planning for outside NIL opportunities with funds and a team that will be able to go out and get our kids those deals. What I don't know how anybody can say with a straight face and without deceiving is, what does Deloitte say about those deals and the value of them for a high school kid? I'm pretty confident that the transfer kid has probably earned the right that you can say to him, you're going to get some outside NIL deals, and give samples of what's happened in the past for a similar player at that position, if that makes.
Yeah. So basically what he was saying about all the things with Deloitte is like, I don't know how you're giving true evaluations to somebody out of high school about what their worth is in NIL and saying it with a straight face. Like, yeah, you can say, oh man, we can get you XYZ, this and this. And it's like, you don't know. They haven't been not based upon the criteria they were given for how those NIL deals are being evaluated. So it's putting them in an awkward position with those conversations. But he's like, it's not a money issue, as far as it's not like we don't have it. It's that we don't want to promise you something that we can't deliver on. And I think that's the thing that people are like, why is Auburn trying to be so noble right now? But I don't know what you want Auburn to do. Just lie to them and tell them what you want them to hear just so they commit. Like, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, there's a couple things. First of all, the August 1st date. I thought it was fairly obvious, and we wouldn't have to explain this, but here we are. When John Cohen was pointing to August 1st, he was saying after that date, we think that you're going to see some things, some movement. Yeah. Everybody took that so literally, like on August 1st, the hammer is going to drop at midnight.
Right.
And it's like, no, man, it means that's when the process starts. And after that date, you're going to see some things possibly shift. Now, with the court ruling that came down about collectives and them being treated as any other third-party business, that kind of negated some of the stuff around that August 1st date. It cleared it up. And it was something I think it took some folks by surprise. That they came out and they said this, and then Auburn pivoted. Now, does that mean that you're going to flip a bunch of people all of a sudden, just that in that moment on August 1st? No. But certainly we've seen the reports. Jacquez Wilkes committed, and then On3 is reporting Auburn being on the edge of some huge flips that are going to be coming down the pipe the next couple of weeks. I don't know why everybody's acting. It's August the 6th right now. Just 5 days after August 1st. I don't know why everybody was acting like on August 1st it was supposed to be 15 commits just fall into Auburn's lap. I can't believe we're having to sit here and explain.
And here's the thing. What's crazy is people coming back and saying, you guys told me. And I was like, no, we didn't. We never said that. That's literally the conversation the War Report has had around this has been August 1st was going to be the date where Auburn figured out whether or not their strategy was sound and then figure out what direction they want to pivot. And we're going to see what that pivot looks like. And we've also been super clear that all of this stuff could get washed away by a poor season. So if the winning doesn't happen in the fall, the recruiting momentum you do or don't have after August 1st won't matter.
Yeah, I agree.
If you win more, that recruiting momentum picks up regardless. And that's where the rubber really meets the road for what this 26 class is going to look like for Auburn.
But it's going to pay off over the course of the next few weeks after that August 1st date. And that's what not immediately, I said, it was just funny to me how literally everyone took that. Like on August 1st, it was D-Day. Like we were legit waiting on a bomb to explode at the stroke of midnight. No, that's not ever what it was going to be. It was after that date. If they pivot, you're going to start to see recruiting pickup. And I'm telling you right now, On3 has been all over this. Go and look at the reports from On3. They are in the mix for some big time flips here. And this is what John was saying. If money was, because when I talked to him, we talked about this specifically.
Also something we've said ad nauseum, but continue what you're about to say. Yes.
Yeah. He said that he didn't think that, in his opinion, the results on the field had nothing to do with where Auburn was at in recruiting right now. It's all money. So if money is the only thing standing between a recruit and you, then there's nothing to stop them from putting more money on the table after August 1st when they figure out what's what. But they took a cautious approach. Auburn wasn't the only team that did it. The thing that irks me is everybody kept saying, so Auburn is the only school that's abiding by the rules and everybody else is getting wrong. No, Auburn wasn't the only school in the SEC taking a cautious approach to this. Oklahoma taking a very cautious approach to this. There are other schools that were doing the same thing. I don't know why everybody's pointing to Auburn and like they're the lone wolf here. They're not alone. There were schools who were interpreting this the same way Auburn was. And, the difference between Auburn and some of the other teams outside the SEC that were taking the cautious approach is Auburn has the money to spend. So now that they're spending it, we'll see. We'll see if it's too late for them to get back in with some of those recruits that maybe already committed elsewhere because of the money, Ike. But I got to think, man, look, until they sign in December, until ink is dry on paper, that nobody stops recruiting just because you said you committed somewhere.
No. And we've seen it with Auburn. And that was, again, it's one of those things that people have to remember how often there are recruits that have been out here that are at Auburn right now that the story was, yes, I committed somewhere else, but Auburn never stopped recruiting me. And then by the time we got to the day that they were ready to sign, they were in Auburn signing class. And that's just kind of the nature of the beast of, listen, and coaches complain about it all the time. Yes, you got a commitment from a guy, but that doesn't mean you stop recruiting him, because someone, until you get the ink dried on the paper, they are not in your class. They just aren't. Like, I don't care how many deals you put on the table in front of them. I don't care how many times they make graphics on social media. None of that stuff matters. The only thing that matters is what that class looks like on signing day. And I think a lot of people need to take a little breather here. That there's a lot of time between now and then to figure this stuff out. And let me be clear about this. Auburn has already put it out there in not so many terms. They're probably not going to take a big class this year. So they might not finish top 5, top 7, just based on pure number of recruits alone. They may not get there. As long as they recruit the places that they need to, then it's going to be a successful one. But they're going to put a lot of focus on what Coach Hugh Freeze has said, the guys that they have right now that they really, really like, and trying to retain them.
Well, there's also anybody that they potentially swung and missed on in the last recruiting cycle. There's a ton of kids that are going to hit the portal.
Right.
High-profile kids that are going to hit the portal this offseason in that first window. And if you were considering Auburn last year and you passed on Auburn, you can keep in contact with their camp. And if they're unhappy, then they might land up at your school. In the conversation that I had with Camp, I had a one-on-one conversation with Camp Coleman while he was committed to Texas A&M. And one of the things that we talked about, I ran into them randomly at a gas station. This was the funniest thing. A random gas station on Highway 431. And he walked up to me and he said, "Excuse me, sir, can I ask you what you do for a living that you can drive a Tesla?" I said, I cover Auburn football. He said, "Oh, do you know who I am? I'm Camp Coleman." I was like, "I know who you are, son." So we got to talking, and I asked him about his commitment to Texas A&M. And part of it was, young kid, grew up in this area. He just want to get out of here and see something different. And what we talked about was, look, Auburn is not going anywhere. So if you go out to Texas A&M to try it, man. And if it's not for you, you can always come home. And Auburn would take him. So, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, how many kids are in that position, Ike, where they'll go someplace, figure out it's not for them, and then they're going to hit the portal, and the school that finished a close second, which was Auburn for a lot of these kids, is the first place they're going to take a look at.
Right.
You have to leave room open for that. The second part of this is player retention over player acquisition. John Cohen keeps talking about this, but it's like people aren't hearing it for some reason. If you recruit multiple top 10 classes in a row, there's going to be a cost to retaining that class. If you're telling me I have unlimited dollars to spend, then I will go on as usual, spending money retaining and acquiring. But if there's a cap, you have to make a decision between retention over acquisition.
Yeah.
This is what they do at the pro level. you win the Super Bowl, you do not get the first pick in the NFL draft after you won the Super Bowl. You have to manage your roster. You have to decide.
And
okay,
this is how a lot of people have been again, as you said, Auburn's not the only people who've been interpreting it this way. Is that the way this is supposed to be set up? Is you're not supposed to just be able to spend your way to a top 5 class every year.
Yes,
Like because you shouldn't have enough cap room to continue to do that. After you sign a really big class, either you're working to retain that class or you're going to have to spend a bunch of money to replace that class.
Correct.
You should. That's the way it's supposed to be working. But some people are just like, I don't believe it's going to work like that. I'm just going to continue to do what I do, and we'll see which way it leans. But there's enough uncertainty here where I don't know why. And this is what Coach Hugh Freeze is saying. There's enough uncertainty here where I don't know how you're having this conversation and being honest.
Right. The cap is part of what creates parity in pro sports, is that you go through cycles. The interesting thing about this with college is because you don't age out of the pros, you do age out of college. So the retention portion, at some point, you're going to have to flip your roster. You're going to have to go back and you're going to have to make a decision between now is it time to clear out for the new class of guys coming in. What NIL has done is it's created an opportunity for coaches to hang on to kids longer. Now, jumping to the pros is not as enticing for a kid who's borderline in terms of the draft grade they're going to get.
Right.
Because they can make a bunch of money and stay in college and improve their draft stock while not worrying that they're giving up their chance at millions for the top guys and, hundreds of thousands of dollars for some of the other kids. They don't have to worry about that. They had. I met a guy one time who he was a golfer, but his hands were insured for like $1 million. He had insurance against getting hurt and losing his career. So if you're a pro athlete, look, think about what NIL gave us Suni Lee. Without NIL, there's no Suni.
That's what's happening. What's the Covum or the golfer right now? He's coming back for another year. He could have gone left for the PGA, right? But he's coming back to be at Auburn Golf for another season. Like, it's allowing these types of stories to happen. For Auburn athletes that are outside of the I think this is the other thing that people forget when they hear John Cohen's statements. He's got to think about more than just how this impacts football and men's basketball.
Yes, right.
Like, these conversations extend well beyond just the. I get it that that's the paramount things in most people's mind. But he has to think about way more than that when he starts figuring out what this conversation looks like and figure out how to guide all of the coaches that need to have these conversations with these athletes. And so his messaging needs to be consistent for all of them, because he can't be going and telling Hugh Freeze, spend whatever you want to, and then go and turn and have a conversation with, somebody over here in name a sport that's not going to make as much money as football and say, hey, but you can't do that because that's not what the rule says. It's like, well, you just told him the rule was X, Y, Z. It's like he's got to be consistent everywhere he's having these conversations. And so it's important for them to get this right everywhere, because Auburn wants to be competitive everywhere. And that's what John Cohen's job is to make sure his coaches are competitive and his athletes are taken care of.
Yeah. Well said. So Auburn has got a lot to manage, and I appreciate you adding the piece that there's more than just football when it comes to this conversation. They've got to think about basketball, think about all the money that had to be spent so that Janai Broome could come back.
Right.
Last year. And
to get Tahad Pettiford back this year.
Yeah, I mean, it was Tahad would have been all but gone under the other system.
Yes. I don't think that there's you can't convince me that if there were not NIL that Tahad Pettiford would be playing for Auburn this season. You just can't.
Yeah. NIL gives us Tahad for another year. It gives you But also what it gives you, who's the kid that's coming over? Keyshawn, right? Like, he's not an Auburn Tiger, I think, without NIL. There's a lot to manage here. And Auburn has got to figure out a way to kind of spread the wealth. But there has to be an understanding that football, this doesn't change the math in terms of what is most important, and it's always football, because football is subsidizing all the other sports except for men's basketball.
Right.
Now, men's basketball, as far as we know, is in the black. So the rest of the programs are deep in the red. Like, when you combine them all, for the last year that we have, the last fiscal year, we have revenue numbers for verified. The rest of the sports outside of football and men's basketball cost Auburn about $50 million. Just over $50 million. So you've got to feed the thing that feeds everybody else first. And then you've still got to figure out a way to enrich those athletes in those other sports, because let's be real, we do care about baseball. We do care about volleyball. We do care about softball. Yeah, they've won championship after championship in, like, equestrian. We care about swimming and diving. Auburn has put people in the Olympics.
Right.
We care about gymnastics. Auburn is an everything school. So you need everything money to get spread around. I think Hugh Freeze understands that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I have, again, I've been consistent in saying I think that their approach has been good on this, because I do believe they've left themselves the room to pivot if necessary, and they've been clear about their willingness to pivot. And so I think that that's important, considering how much time they have to make that pivot. If this was November 1st and not August 1st that we had been talking about for a month, then I probably would have felt very differently about where Auburn was. And I understand people who are impatient. What I don't understand is, in your impatience, your eagerness, being so eager to criticize so heavily, as if there's not time to change that. Like, okay, you're behind. Being behind does not mean that you finish in that place. That's just not how things work ever in life.
100%.
Where you are today, if there's time left still to make up ground, you can make that ground up. And being very clear in the fact that Auburn has the ability to make that kind of push.
Absolutely.
Like, if Auburn didn't have the ability to make that kind of push and they're behind, it's like, Lord have mercy, why am I forgetting best sprinter in the world from Jamaica?
Usain Bolt.
He was terrible out of the blocks. Consistently awful out of the blocks when he was running. It's how he finished the races that let him win consistently, because he was a long strider. Now, I'm not calling Auburn Usain Bolt. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that starting slow and you have the ability to kick through the back end, you probably still end up on the medal stand. Auburn's got that ability to do that. Some schools don't, right? So they've got to make sure that they get it right. And this is the same thing Coach Hugh Freeze talked about last year when talking about the talent on the football team. You're not talented enough to just go in and be okay in this game and win. You're not talented enough to make a bunch of mistakes and win in this game. When you're talented, sometimes you don't have to start fast. You can go out there and you can figure it out, and you can stumble through it, and you can find ways to win games. Now, you don't want to live in that world, but with the amount of uncertainty that's happening right now in NIL, thankfully, Auburn has generous donors that allow them to be able to make up ground quickly.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality of what it is. And everybody's not in that place, right? Like, if Ole Miss was behind, they'd be screwed.
Yeah, I agree.
If you are Kentucky right now and you're a football fan and you're behind in recruiting, you're not feeling great, because Kentucky doesn't give a crap about football. They're not going to spend a bunch of money there on football. They might get one or two guys. That's it.
Yeah.
So again, you're thankfully in a different position financially in Auburn to be able to make up that ground. So hopefully that narrative will change as the weeks approach, getting closer to signing day. And we do see some of that momentum that we've been hearing bubbling under the surface with some of these recruits kind of change. And then I'll say it again. You got to go out and win football games in the fall because you can get a bunch of momentum and shoot yourself in the foot by going out there and playing like crap in the fall, and it all goes to hell.
Yeah. Look, they still want to commit to a winning program, and I think this is the year. Now, I mentioned John Cohen said that results on the field didn't have anything to do with what Auburn is at in recruiting right now as it stands. But of all the seasons, I think this season will have an actual impact on what future recruiting looks like, because you've got all the pieces, and now you got to prove that you know what you're doing with the pieces. And this is the season where all the excuses are dead.
Yes.
Can't stress that enough. And it goes back to what, when we're having a lively discussion about whether 7-5 would be acceptable. And to me, there are just so few scenarios where that's going to be acceptable because of the pieces that you had. So you get credit for getting the guys here. Now you just have to show that you know what you're doing with them. So it's you've got win 8 games, man. So this is not even a discussion headed into year 4.
Right.
Yeah, just make this a non-issue. Win 8 games, possibly more, and shut the haters up.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to talk about this. Just
like I like, let's be clear. I desperately need to not be having this conversation at the end of the season about how Auburn woefully underachieved. I'd rather be having a conversation about, man, we narrowly missed the college football playoff because they screwed it up in a game or two here, than having the conversation about, God, is Coach Hugh Freeze even going to survive the offseason because of this terrible product that they put out there? I don't want, like, if I'm going to have a disappointment conversation, it needs to be disappointment in barely missing the college football playoff or making the college football playoff and losing in the first, like that. I'd rather have that disappointment conversation. Now, ultimately, I want to have the natty conversation of, like, man, we just dunked on everybody out there and went and proved a bunch of people wrong. I'd love to have that, but there's levels to where this can land at the end of this year. And I'd much rather have the narrowly missed something great convo and expectation of something greater the next season than having this, gosh, I don't know if Hugh Freeze going to make it, bro.
All right. Thanks.
So we shall see how it goes. We are getting closer to that time. Let's get a couple more super chats in here. And before we get out, we've got Rhett Horsley, who says, y'all think Jackson Arnold or Mateer has a better season?
Ooh, this is a
good question.
I'm going with Jackson Arnold. I think Jackson Arnold has the better receiver, so I'm going with Jackson.
I honestly, I don't know. I don't quote me on who has the better receiver room. I'm so confident in Auburn's receiver room. I almost want to put them up against anybody, blind resume and just say, hey, no, I'm taking Auburn no matter what. I think Jackson Arnold has the potential to have the better season, regardless of which team has the better win-loss record, right? I do think Oklahoma's going to have a really good defense. I do think Oklahoma's got a sound run game potentially brewing over there. But I do believe in what I have not seen yet from Coach Hugh Freeze at Auburn, but what I've seen from him in his career and his ability to have really good offenses and quarterback play, and the talent of Jackson Arnold plus the talent of that wide receiver room. Today, give me Jackson Arnold, but hey, I will dive into Oklahoma much more here in the very near future. I just did, by the way, start my rounds of talking to people who write for other schools. I did my Missouri one. I think the full conversation might already be up on the Just a Sec channel, but I'll give you guys some snippets over here soon on our channel about the Auburn conversation. But I've got some other guys lined up from some other programs, so you'll start hearing some of those conversations very soon here on the channel. A Dietz says, it's a marathon, not a sprint with recruiting. Right now, we have the talent and the depth to get 10 wins and take off. We are going to see some magic this year, and after the past few years, we have earned it. The fan base has definitely been through a lot, trying to keep their hopes alive while watching this disappointing, and I'll put that lightly, product on the field. So, yeah, Auburn fans deserve something good to cheer about, man. That's not Bruce Pearl in basketball. They really do. because they continue to show up every single year to pack out Jordan-Hare Stadium, sell out season tickets, all this kind of stuff, and have not seen a team that's been able to claw above 6 wins. So it's time for something different. Let's see here. Jonathan Boyson, you need to get an interview with Jackson Coyven. Man has finished top 11 in like 5 pro tournaments, and he is holding his tour card to come back to Auburn one more year. That's what I was just talking about. Coyven, the golfer, had an opportunity to go into the PGA Tour, decided to come back for his junior season at Auburn, and he is an absolute stud out there. So yeah. I listen, we can work on it. We can work on it. I don't know how many other channels will go work on a Jackson Coyven interview, but you know, the War Report, we might try to do that for y'all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. I think that's all I got from today, Mike G. Any final thoughts before we let them get out of here tonight?
No, we've said all that needs to be said. We're getting closer. Every one of these shows, every midweek report means we're 7 days closer to the start of college football. I cannot wait to stop talking about all this stuff in theory and start talking about this stuff in actuality. Football is back, and look, man, hopefully there's a lot to cheer for Auburn fans.
Yep. I'm hoping for a lot to cheer for as well. All right, we'll take them out of here. Tell them how they can support all the things we got going on.
You guys know the deal. We appreciate everybody who signed up, but we want to thank our title sponsor, the Rage Room. You see the addresses there, guys. Please go visit them when you get to the counter. Let them know that the War Report sent you. Continue to sign up for those memberships. We need you guys to help us grow the Green Name Gang headed into the season. Lots of great member-only content on game day. So it's going to be fun with the pre-games and the halftimes, and just, you know, I can't wait. Hopefully we're celebrating a lot of wins in those chats. We shut down the pregame and the halftime to members only. So you want to be a part of that conversation, just sign up for a membership. I want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORTER to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Also want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. SetsForSociety.ai. Get to know yourself with Sets for Society. Visit them to get your custom personality assessment started today. Sign up on podcast, subscribe, turn on automatic downloads, let the War Report flow through your eardrums whether you're dropping the kids off at school or just headed to work, whatever you're doing. Turn us on, turn us up. We will turn it out every single time. The War Report on audio. We appreciate you guys for supporting us there.
Yes, indeed. And thank you for those of you who continue to support us in all the ways. Please share the video. That's one way you can do that. Absolutely free to do that. Like the video before you get out of here, whether you're watching it live or you're watching the replay on YouTube. And go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We hadn't talked about how many subs the channel has in a while, but we are over 14,000 subscribers now, which is so crazy, again, considering starting from nothing, and we're not tied to some other large network or anything like that. This is just us grinding this out. 14,000 subscribers. Hopefully we can get to 15K before the end of the year. So hopefully y'all help us get the word out there for that.
Yeah, you know what? Shameless plug here. Do me a favor, guys. I'm dangerously close to 1,000 subs on Locked On UCF.
Oh, Locked On, yeah.
Just go over there and right here now before you shut down your computer and just subscribe. I need 52 of y'all to do it so that I can hit that 1,000 sub mark and monetize that channel. It's important that we do that fast. So help me out.
Yep. At the War Report on X and Instagram, TW Report on TikTok. Back at you guys with more great content later on this week. So make sure you guys get locked in. If you are a patron member, make sure that you go and check the community, because we are supposed to be doing our next draft tomorrow. I need some more folks to sign up for our patrons. Go sign up over there. And make sure you check the community, because that's where I'm dropping the info about how you get signed up there. We're going to be doing that tomorrow. So y'all make sure y'all lock in with that. But we are out of here, man. Until the next time. And as always, War Eagle.